Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a concept that is so fundamental, so deeply woven into our social lives, we barely even notice it's there. It's like an invisible glue that lets us coordinate on everything, from finding a lost friend to stopping at a red light. We're talking about common knowledge. And to really get it, we first need to solve a little puzzle.
So let's start with a classic. Imagine you and a friend are in some massive department store. Your phones are dead, you get separated. Now, where do you go to meet up? You don't just go to your favorite spot. You have to go to the place you think they will think is the most obvious spot for both of you. You see? It's a whole other level of thinking.
You're instantly caught in what the economist Thomas Schelling talked about, this recursive loop of thinking. It's this dizzying hall of mirrors where you're trying to guess what your friend is guessing you'll guess. To solve this, and honestly countless other social puzzles, we need to get a handle on a very precise idea.
And that idea, it really hinges on this crucial distinction between two types of shared knowledge. Now, they sound pretty similar, but the difference between them changes everything.
Okay, so on one hand, you have mutual knowledge. Pretty straightforward. Everyone in a group knows a particular fact. But on the other hand, you have common knowledge. And this is where it gets really interesting. It's not just that everyone knows the fact. It's that everyone knows that everyone else knows. And they know that you know that they know. And on it goes, forever. Into infinity.
Let's make mutual knowledge really concrete. So imagine every student in a classroom individually finds out their instructor is going to be late, okay? So every student knows the fact, but they might be thinking, hey, maybe I'm the only one who knows this. Their knowledge is private. It's held in parallel. That's mutual knowledge. It's shared, sure, but it's not coordinated. But just watch what happens with one single, simple action. A student stands up and just says it out loud to the whole class. Hey everyone, the instructor's going to be late. In that one public moment, boom, everything changes. Everyone heard it, and everyone knows that everyone else heard it. The private mutual knowledge just got transformed into public, powerful, common knowledge. That single public act is what creates this infinite ladder of awareness. It's that absolute certainty, that shared understanding that we all know the same thing together. That is the key, the secret ingredient to unlocking real coordination. The power of making something common knowledge can seem, well, it's almost magical. It can literally create new, life-saving information out of a fact that, technically speaking, everyone in the room already knew.
Let's look at a classic logic puzzle. So, picture a group of diners. They just had a messy meal. Some of them, we'll just say K of them, have sauce on their face. The thing is, nobody can see their own face, but they can see everyone else's. The cook comes out and announces, at least one of you has barbecue sauce on her face. Now, for any diner who already sees someone else with a messy face, this isn't new information. But then the cook adds a rule. A bell will ring every minute, and if you know you are messy, you must clean your face. Making that first fact common knowledge is what starts the clock ticking.
Okay, so let's trace the logic. If there's just one messy person, the puzzle's really simple. She looks around, sees every single other face is spotless. Then she hears the cook say, at least one of you is messy. The only possible conclusion? It has to be her. So she cleans her face at the very first ring of the bell. Easy enough.
All right, now let's see how this builds when there are two messy people. Let's call them Alice and Bob. Alice looks across the table and sees Bob is messy. So she thinks, okay, maybe Bob is the only one. I'll just wait and see if he cleans his face after the first bell. But of course, Bob's doing the exact same thing. He sees Alice is messy and he's waiting for her to act. So after that first bell rings, crickets. Nothing happens.
And this is just brilliant. It perfectly illustrates the power of common knowledge. The silence, the fact that nothing happened, becomes brand new information. Alice realizes, wait a minute, if Bob were the only messy one, he would have known it and acted already. Since he didn't, it must be because he sees someone else who's messy. And since I see everyone else is clean, well, that person has to be me. Bob reasons the exact same way. And at the second bell, they both clean their faces. And this logic, you can extend it for any number of messy diners.
Okay, so common knowledge is incredibly powerful for coordinating. But what happens if you only have almost common knowledge? What if that chain of I know that you know that I know has just a tiny, tiny chance of being broken?
Let's think about Lizzie and Joanna. They're trying to coordinate meeting for dinner. The best place, Restaurant A, gives them both a great outcome. The backup spot, Restaurant B, is fine. But the absolute worst thing that can happen is if one of them goes to B while the other goes to A, because the person at B gets hit with a huge penalty, like a crazy expensive parking fee. Here's the setup. Lizzie knows A is the best spot, but Joanna doesn't.
So to solve this, they set up this really clever system. Lizzie emails Joanna the plan, go to A. When Joanna reads it, her computer automatically fires a confirmation back to Lizzie. When Lizzie's computer gets that confirmation, it sends another confirmation back to Joanna, and so on, back and forth. They're literally trying to build that common knowledge hierarchy, one message at a time.
But here's the catch. Their internet connection isn't perfect. There is a minuscule, tiny probability, let's call it epsilon, that any one of these confirmation messages could just get lost in the ether. And if even one message fails, that infinite chain that you need for perfect common knowledge, it's broken.
Okay, but let's say the chain is wildly successful. I mean, they create a chain of certainty that's 17 levels deep. I know that you know that I know that you know 17 times over, all confirming the plan is go to A.
I mean, this feels like it has to be enough, doesn't it? They have this enormous amount of confidence. It's almost common knowledge. Surely they should both confidently march over to restaurant A.
Incredibly, no. The only rational choice here, according to game theory, is for both of them to play it safe and go to restaurant B. The logic just unravels backwards. Joanna thinks, well, Lizzie won't risk that huge penalty unless she is 100% certain I got her last message. But there's always that tiny chance she didn't. That one little sliver of doubt means Lizzie should play it safe. And if Joanna knows that, then Lizzie's previous message is also unreliable, and the entire chain of 17 messages collapses into absolutely nothing.
This email paradox, it's so counterintuitive that it forces us to ask a much deeper question. If this perfect, infinite state of knowing is so fragile that even a tiny bit of doubt can shatter the whole thing, can we as human beings ever actually achieve it?
You know, skeptics argue, probably not. Even something as simple as two people looking at the exact same object can fail to produce common knowledge. If Alice and Bob both look at a 300-centimeter mast, Alice knows her perception isn't perfect, so she has to consider, well, maybe Bob sees it as 299 centimeters. And she knows Bob knows his perception isn't perfect, so it's possible he thinks she might see it as 298 centimeters. This chain of doubt just unravels everything, making it theoretically impossible to have common knowledge about even a simple shared observation.
So, if perfect common knowledge is this fragile, maybe even unattainable ideal, should we even care about it? Why are we talking about this? Well, the answer is a huge yes, because it is everywhere.
It matters because our entire social world is built on the practical assumption that we can achieve it. When you stop at a red light, you do it because you know everyone else knows the rule, and you know they know that you know the rule. Language itself is a massive convention built on this idea. Financial markets depend entirely on public prices being common knowledge. It's the unseen, unspoken social glue that allows for all of this massive, complex coordination.
And that brings us to the crucial point. Common knowledge depends on a shared public square, on public announcements that we all experience together. So in a world that's becoming more and more fragmented into personalized news feeds, private group chats, and filter bubbles, what happens to this social glue? What happens to our ability to coordinate when we no longer have a common basis for our common knowledge?